All right, time.
Recording in progress.
All right, now it's time for the June 8th council meeting, 7 p.m. Can I get a call over and roll call, please?
Elwick.
Here.
Gates. Senius.
Yep.
Parmenter.
Here.
Fluhop. Here. Stark. Here.
All right, we all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Motion. Second.
Motion.
Later.
Yeah. Motion by Riley, second by Bethany. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Riley. Any questions? I have one big one, Chris. Under the debt service fund, first page, all the refund on the bonds. Are you buying them out? Are you just done?
We are finished. That is it for 2 bonds, Mr. Mayor and Council.
That is awesome.
The end of that.
Good deal.
And that will actually lower our actual property tax rate next fiscal year by 8.5%.
Just kidding. Mr. Walker not here.
Should be here soon. He plans on being here tonight.
The band work thing under the sewer operating was for 20 grand, and then there was another one for van work for 29 under the water operating. I don't know what van work is.
Meters.
Meters, perfect. Where are you, engineers? You should have popped that one off. You guys just- That's all I had. Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now it's time for receiving file communication petitions, remonstrances. Anybody have any? Hearing none. Committee reports.
Business type activities met at 6:30 this evening to go over proposed rates for sanitation contract. What we came up with, what we'd like to suggest to council to accept would be for the first year with S&J, the billable rate is $15.65 per household. Second year, $15.65 per household. Third year, $16. Fourth year, $16.36. Fifth year, $16.75. Reason being is that we do have that additional surcharge that's included in our sanitation bill that funds brush dump and citywide cleanup, etc. So that'll be taking a little bit out of that budget, but making it less painful.
Any other committee reports? All right, thank you for that, Amy. Moving on, citizen input. Council won't take any action on public comment at this meeting, but may do so at a future meeting. Please limit your presentation to 3 minutes or until the little pink timer runs out. Anybody out there?
Yes.
Aaron? Take your name, where you live, all that good stuff.
Darren Sellers, 1103 10th Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay. In the April 27th council meeting, Mayor Maynard requested citizens come to speak to the city staff before filing complaints with state agencies to see if remedies can be reached first. I wasn't sure which city staff to tell, so I'm telling you all now. The Planning and Zoning Commission has been operating in violation of State Codes 21 and 414 and City Ordinance 23 for years. I've been a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission since February of 2021. Since my time on the commission, there have been at least 17 Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. And under those 17 meetings, has the commission reviewed, approved, filed any meeting minutes as required by Iowa Code 21.3.2 and 414.9. Nor has a yearly report been filed with the council as required by City Ordinance 23.05.8. When I was appointed to the commission on February 11, 2021, there were 4 other people appointed to the commission at the same time. This action violated City Ordinance 23.02, restricting terms of not more than 1/3 of the members expiring at the same time. On February 11, 2021, over 71% of the members were each appointed to terms all ending on December 31st, 2025. However, the missing meeting minutes, annual report, and inappropriate appointments are not the most severe violations the Planning and Zoning Commission has committed. What is most alarming is the fact that the Planning and Zoning Commission has been run by a de facto chairman who has been serving on the commission for decades. City Ordinance 23.05.1 dictates that a chairman and vice chairman would be elected annually at its first regular meeting. During my 2+ years of membership, not once has there been an election of a chairman or vice chairman. In fact, I would venture to guess that there hasn't been an election of officers on the commission for far longer than 2 years. I can't research how long ago the last election was held because the commission has not filed any meeting minutes in which to look. Additionally, I'm not even sure there is a vice chairman in the commission. I've never heard his name. In fact, it appears the current self-appointed chairman is using the decades-long tenure to set his own rules by ignoring the annual elections and to eliminate the vice chairman position. Currently, by law, the Planning and Zoning Commission has no legal chairman or vice chairman. The solution to this matter is far beyond calling another meeting and electing officials. You must understand there are no leaders on the commission with the legal authority to call or run a meeting. It is time to remove the autocrat who has taken over the Planning and Zoning Commission. A commission that bases decisions less on the question at hand, but rather on whether the self-appointed chairman likes the person asking. How else would you explain a multitude of inconsistent rulings for nearly identical requests over the years? My 60-day window for filing a complaint with the Iowa Public Information Board expires on July 15th. I look forward to the city's remedy for this issue before that deadline. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
I do. Blake Hinkle, live at 202 Riverview Drive. I called and spoke with Chris Ward a couple weeks ago about parking complaint up there on Riverview. He was going to follow up with me, but I was on vacation. When you head north on Riverview after turning off of Cedar Ridge, comes to kind of a L intersection, and then it heads west, and then you can turn north again, go down the hill on Riverview Drive. Parking is allowed currently both sides of the street on all of Riverview Drive. If that L corner right there where Amato's and Weehage's, and I'm not sure who lives across the street from Weehage's, but it's very constricted. And I'm driving through there a lot with truck and trailer, and now I have young kids driving in and out of there, and I know for a fact if you try to get a fire truck through there, it would not happen. So I would like something done at that corner. At the top of the hill, if you're heading south, Riverview Drive, like you're coming up from the golf course, no parking at the very top at that T. Then where you would turn left there or head east, and then immediately head south again. There needs to be something on the north-south road of Riverview, because again, it's nearly impassable in just a regular car. And if you have a truck and trailer, it doesn't work. And again, I was on the fire department for 10 years. There's a fire hydrant right on that corner. If people are parked there, you couldn't get the fire hydrant, and there's no way that you would get a fire truck through that.
So that's
intersection.
Luke's on the corner, right? Luke
What's that?
Garwood? See on the corner right
Yes,
there?
Garwood.
Milne's. Yeah.
I'm not sure who lives directly across from Weehage. It might, that's possible. I know Weehage.
No, Luke lives in
Milne's old
Milne's old
house,
house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be Luke's or Garwood's intersection with Motto, Weehage, and whoever else is on that corner. And that's just a really, it's basically like an S as you're driving through it, but it's very constricted, and there's cars there 90% of the time on both sides of the street. So if we could do something about that, it would greatly.
So
So appreciate it.
If we limited it to parking on one side of the street.
At bare minimum, that would be
This is a
fantastic.
public works or a public safety problem.
Yep.
Both of them.
Not taking any action.
No, but I can send it to the committee.
They can, I'm sure we're all taking notes.
It would be, I would send it to public safety first.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right, moving on to old business. Now it's time for a public hearing on proposed ordinance to amend zoning district maps for sellers. We'll open that public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak on said rezoning?
Nobody? I do. Do I have to go down there?
Yep, sure do. State your name and where you live and all that good stuff when you get there.
Tammy Stark, 1115 3rd Avenue. With regards to this, we all had in our packets, or you all had in your packets last time, I believe it's in there again tonight, notes reflecting the P&Z concerns and notes from our attorney as well. And I just want to point out, in my opinion, this should never have gotten this far. Planning and zoning should have turned it down then with that many concerns. Kind of feel like they kicked the can down the road. But it's in front of you tonight, and you absolutely do not have to send this on to Board of Adjustment. You have the power and the ability to stop this in its tracks and just say no. It's been said no in so many different ways, so many different times. Now's the time.
Anybody else want to speak at the public hearing? Anybody out there? There's like somebody on.
Dude. If anybody wishes to speak on the public hearing at hand, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen.
Record? Sorry, Dakota, where you live and all that good stuff.
Yep, so go to Sellers, live on 4th Street in Vinton. It's definitely disappointing to hear the council members' thoughts on it, because when we talk about kicking a can down the road, this process has gone on for a year. A year of being told no, a year of justifying that it meets the housing needs of the city, justifying that it meets the comprehensive plan, switching to a zoning request that was initially told by P&Z to do, because then it wouldn't justify spot zoning. The use of the property is not going to differ from what the original request was, but for a year, this process has been kicked down the road, and definitely disappointing that there's no communication. It's just no after no after no. I know that the people on this council, there's members on this council that understand that this is a good project, understand when we're talking about minor things, I requested the packet, I can address those. There's not that many concerns. There's maybe 3 that we'd have to get a variance for, but this allows you guys to shut other people down when they want to spot zone in the future. That's why I switched it to commercial from R3. So just to have a council member say, hey, let's shut this down right now. I mean, where was that when it got me back to the planning and zoning 3-4 times that I've been there? I've been in front of the council probably 4 or 5, 6 times about this matter. No one's done any amount of communication with me. I know you probably all think I'm crazy. I'm not. It's absurd to me that we have a great plan, a great use of a property, and we have means to utilize it, and instead of doing it, the thought process is, hey, this guy's a pain in the butt, let's just say no so it doesn't go any farther. Why is the tone changed now? Is it because I've finally gotten over the hurdles that I needed to? I finally went back to P&Z to get the yes that I needed, and now It doesn't matter, because P and Z said no, you could have voted on it at that time, but you didn't. Now I have a P and Z that said yes, and now we can't, now we're just being told, hey, let's vote against it, it doesn't have any morals, whatever. There's a very, very, very few things that need to be addressed on this. And I can, if you have questions on those specific things, I can answer them for you, that's what the public hearing is for. But to shut it down and say, hey, let's vote it down now, after kicking me down the road a year and a half into this process, is absurd in my opinion, and it shows a lack of backbone in my opinion. So if you guys have questions, I can gladly answer them for you, but that is an unfair simplification of what we have going on here, so.
Realistically,
Yep.
when you bought this property, Dakota, did you do any checking on zoning or anything, and you found out you could not do what you wanted to do, correct?
No, so that's what we talked about when it came to R3. So when I originally looked at it, did I understand that it did not touch R3? Yes, I understood that. I understood that it touched a commercial property in its vicinity. I had researched spot zoning and its allowable uses. I believe I got to the point, and I believe the council sent it back to P&Z because it was under the understanding that spot zoning was technically allowed by law. I have switched it so that it does not qualify as spot zoning, because that's the biggest concern that the council had originally was, if you're going to do this, why can't everybody do it? Well, now you have to, what we're doing is we're not spot zoning my property. We're zoning it in accordance with the property that it touches already. It touches a commercial zone. It's going to continue to touch a commercial zone. And all we're doing is we're conforming the zoning to the use is what we are. And I have to go to the Board of Adjustments to get the variances, which is a political decision. And I think that your guys' consensus is, hey, they're the board of no. I've been told no hundreds and hundreds of times, and every single time I'm able to justify and understand why it is a good project. But yes, I did do research. Yes, did I have kickback originally? 100%. But if stuff was easy, nothing would ever get done. If it's just like, hey, you know, let's just conform to, you know, what one guy says. That's not the correct path for the city of Vinton. If we're ever going to change anything, we're ever going to get better. You got to have people that are willing to question what's in the law and what's allowed. And I got to that point, and the whole reason I switched back to commercial was so that the council, when somebody else comes to do this in the future, you guys can tell them if they want to zone an R1 district to an R3 and it doesn't touch, no, because I've never done it before. With the exclusion of the funeral home, that's the only other time that's ever been done. So that's why I did it. That's why I know it's justified. I went from no to yes to no to yes. I'm back. I'm at yes. I have a yes from the P&Z. 4 of the 5 members said yes. I still have to go out and get the variances to shut this down. In my opinion, is a disservice to the community, because it just says that the city of Vinton is unwilling to do anything that is outside of the normal. So somebody tries to do something in the future, they do all the research, they take all the appropriate steps, and we're just going to tell them no after they get the yes. So, but yes, I did do research, and where I'm at is I have legal footing to allow this to happen. Is there obstacles that I still have to overcome? Yeah, this council and the next 3 readings are some of those, but that's why I want to talk about the specific project, not, you know, your guys' distaste for me after being here for a year at all these meetings. So
It's not personal, Dakota. And
no,
quite
I'm not
frankly,
saying it's personal.
you just said you've been in front of us for over a year now,
Yep.
and we've worked with you every time. So we have not wanted to work with you.
So you understand, you
It's the
sent me
exact
back to,
opposite.
you sent me to planning and zoning to re-evaluate it because you didn't want to vote against planning and zoning. That was the exact words of what this council said. I went back, right? I got the yes, so that you don't have to vote against planning and zoning and you don't have to set a precedent. So my question is, why has it changed now that we're at the final stages? I finally have a yes that I need, and now it's, okay,
That
we
was
had
my
potentially-
opinion. That was my opinion. I'm
I
only
get that.
speaking for me, not the council, so they have their own opinion.
But
It's
you
not-
have to understand, your opinion is for sure going to be more consequential than what my opinion is. I mean, it is. Is it a conflict of interest? No, you're a citizen, you can still do it, I understand that, that's your right, but your opinion, when it comes to voice like that, is obviously more consequential than mine.
So if I sent this to the Board of Adjustments, so you can get all these variances granted,
There's only 3 variances that I need.
and you have to go to the Board of Adjustments.
Yep.
One of the main rules of the Board of Adjustments is they can't be self-imposed.
Okay, so when it comes to the Board of Adjustments, okay, everybody's gonna tell the Board of Adjustments that is no. The Board of Adjustments, on legal footing, is supposed to say no to everything. They are. It's clear that the city doesn't want this to be an ordinance change because they don't want to deal with other people doing this. So that's what the Board of Adjustments is for, to allow specific instances like this. It is absolutely.
But they got to follow a set of rules too. I believe one of the first rules is it cannot be a self-imposed hardship.
It's a political decision. So if when we're talking about that, so we're talking about, hey, they said yes to this variance, if it causes a huge stink, right? They have legal footing, it gets thrown out, right? They have the right and they have the ability to do it. You're talking about a challenge. If somebody challenges the ruling that they do, they absolutely can grant variances for this, which is what we would need. They can. It can be challenged legally, but someone has to be upset or perturbed enough about that. And other than the council members, then I don't know who's perturbed about that this affects in a negative light, because we've talked about all the positives that it has, that they would bring that. But they absolutely have the ability to grant the variances. And Doug is going to tell them that they don't, and that it is against the law, and obviously they do. Variances are granted, and they are allowed. It is 100% a political decision.
Variances are almost always 100% illegal.
But they can be granted, correct?
Whether they're granted or not.
Thank you.
You're broken. It isn't a political decision. That's a misuse of that term, and this situation is not why variances are built. The Supreme Court's very clear that variances exist to deal with situations of extreme hardship where a property really has no value but for a variance. If the council makes a decision that, boy, this does make sense, either this decision or Dakota's prior request for a duplex, if the council looks at this property and says, you know what, this makes some sense, but the ordinance says we can't do it, the law says you can't get a variance for it, what do we do next? The answer is to amend the code. Doesn't mean you have to amend the code, but if those circumstances exist where you're sitting there and you think he brings us a request that seems to make sense, but our code says no, and a variance would be illegal, what do we do next? The answer isn't for the Board of Adjustment to give him a variance because nobody's perturbed. Because somebody else sitting in his same shoes a year from now, across town, may want the same variance, but the neighbors over there are perturbed. So then that guy doesn't get a variance. It's not fair for that guy not to get it if he got it, and that's why the Supreme Court says they're basically illegal, because you need to try to treat everyone the same. And you must show extreme hardship. If it's brought on by your own actions, that doesn't count. If it's a financial burden or you aren't going to make as much money, that doesn't count. It really comes down to almost the Board of No, quite honestly. The Board of Adjustment does have other roles too. Their only role is not to grant variances. They're also there for conditional use permits and some other things. But when it comes to variances, you know, he's not wrong. Some cities do grant them willy-nilly left and right if nobody's there to object, but it can create long-term problems because once you start granting them, then everybody who wants one is going to point to everyone that got granted in the past and say, there was one, there was one, there was one, now I
I
want
would say that respectfully, no one is going to go through the heartache and the trouble of a 1.5-year process with the city to get to a point to even allow them to get a variance. So if somebody else wants to go through this process, I wish them the best luck. I'll never do it again, but the Board of Adjustments absolutely can grant a variance in this matter. And it is going to be, you're not approving switching the use, you're approving switching the zoning. If the zoning doesn't fit the use, then I can't go and get a variance. I still have to go to the Board of Adjustment and I still have to get a variance to be able to use it for what I want to use it for. And if I don't get that, it remains a single family home.
So it goes to the Board of Adjustments. They grant the variance. Ted over there files a complaint, says, hey, they just acted illegally. What happens then?
He'd have to file what's called a writ of certiorari with the district court saying that the board acted illegally. And there'd be a hearing process and the district court would make a decision. This is the case too, as you guys know, the Planning and Zoning Board makes recommendations, Board of Adjustment makes decisions. And this group, I'm not suggesting you do, or it happens that often, but it happened in Iowa City, as I recall, where, yeah, it might have been a private group. But anyway, you can challenge by the same course of action.
It was Dubuque.
Dubuque, maybe,
It was
okay.
Dubuque.
Again, it's a rare circumstance, but in theory, the city council could file a writ of cert to the district court challenging the granting of a variance by the Board of Adjustment if you were unhappy enough with it that you wanted to. But it's a formal action, and it basically is an argument that there was an illegal, that the decision was made illegally, if you will. And then you go to the courts and the case law, and, you know, I'm just one lawyer sitting here, but I don't think it's even a close call. That, again, politically, if they make it, nobody complains, fine, they can do it. They can do anything they want to if nobody complains. But there's no question in my mind that the granting of the variances in this case would not meet the standards set by the Supreme Court.
At one time, you were going to have a deed restriction on this with one way that you're going to get this to go.
Yep.
Is that still?
Yeah, 100%. Never be more than 2 residential units.
But I'm not, I just can't see how that's a good idea.
What's a good idea?
Doing a deed restriction so that you can change the usage of a property, that just sets up for even more people down the road.
No, because they still have to go through this whole entire process. The deed restriction is something that I would allow, basically to ease your guys' mind, so that if you don't want to do something similar to this in the past, you have another thing to lend on. Well, you know, he said he was going to restrict this to a 2-unit home, okay? So if somebody is directly next to commercial, the same exact situations apply. Mine is different, so that gives you guys the ability to differentiate mine. I'm never going to use this property for anything other than what I'm getting it rezoned for. If it burns down, I can't build on it, so the lot is basically void at that point, other than a single-family home, so I have to move my structure somewhere else, or that's it.
I think the first rezoning request, and correct me if I'm wrong, was to R3, which might allow even for more than a duplex, am I right? Multifamily?
Yes.
And I think the idea was if that zoning were allowed, the city council's mind, we're okay with that zoning potentially, so long as it's nothing more than a duplex.
And commercial allows for the same.
In that case,
multiple.
maybe a conditional rezoning could work. But, you know, everything you do is create a track record. But if you, so, and it wouldn't necessarily lock you in down the road, but you'd be, be something people would point to in looking at similarly situated properties on the edge of a residential neighborhood and a commercial neighborhood. Maybe if it's got enough square feet and everything else in play, maybe a duplex works in that case. So rezone it to the right zoning to allow a duplex with the condition that it can only be that and nothing greater. That's another option.
But it's gotta meet all the requirements, correct?
Well, when you say all the requirements, I mean it would need to meet.
Square footage.
Yep, and in theory, then you start looking at some of the details of your code, and if you say, well, it really doesn't meet this, and this. You know, I guess the example I always use is when somebody wanted to build a big accessory building, was too big for the lot, but they had, too big under the zoning. Zoning said no taller than 15 feet. But this property owner had tore down the house next door that was in bad shape and now had 3 big lots. A lot of room for a bigger accessory building. Went to the council said, well, it can only be 15 feet and you want it to be 25 so you can put your stuff inside instead of having it sit out in the backyard. That makes a lot of sense. You know, what do? Well, we amend the code to allow for a 25-foot building if you can move it from 3 feet off the property line to 10 feet off the property line and still only use no more than 30% of your rear yard. And then only people with that kind of a size yard can put a 25-foot building. Everybody's smaller yard is still stuck with 15. So, yeah, you'd have to look at those things too and see if it makes sense to modify any of those. And I think the discussion was at the council level, and this has gone on for a long time, that you're potentially looking at making a lot of code changes, a lot of modifications and twisting of things to make one project work.
And this would not be changing the code to allow this to happen, because the variances have to be granted for me to use it however I want. It can be a commercial lot, it can still be a single-family home, but I can't get a variance on a single-family home to use it for multifamily purposes if it's not zoned correctly.
So,
So if the variance, if this is granted and I go to the Board of Adjustments and the Board of Adjustments says no, I can't use it how I intended. I can't change the structure, I can't do anything. It's a single family home. If the Board of Adjustments says yes and grants me the side yard variance, the square footage variance, then I don't know if there was even a third one, but I know those two for sure. If it grants me those two, then I would be allowed to use it in the fashion that it's zoned for, and that's what I'm looking for. So you guys are the ones saying that the Board of Adjustments is the Board of No, and I'm saying I'm prepared to go to the Board of No, and I'm prepared to get a yes, otherwise this doesn't happen. So, you can say it's kicking it down the road, but it's my challenge to bear, and if it doesn't get completed, I can't change the use of the property. But I can't go to the Board of Adjustments unless the property is zoned correctly. And as far as like off-street parking, I've already rethought all that, which actually is much better, and it would not require any obscene gravel or anything like that, just using existing, essentially curb cut is what I have, and repurposing the back patio area that has a concrete slab as additional parking. So it wouldn't even change the footprint of the house like I had originally had, which was one other concern, but I can meet the off-street parking requirements as well.
do you need to speak on this too?
I don't know how much my opinion matters. I'm the neighbor just to the south, and I'm not in favor of this.
What's your name and what's your address?
Jason Thompson, 907 B Avenue.
So what's your concerns with it all, Jason? And
I feel like it would likely lower the overall quality of the neighborhood and might adversely affect the resale value of my home, were I to choose to sell at some point in the future.
So my question for you would be, obviously the property has transacted twice in the last 4 years at well below market value. I have an appraisal, and I have a as completed appraisal that would increase the value of the home essentially threefold from where it was purchased the last time. And I don't.
so Dakota,
Yep.
this information would have been brought to him if you would have talked to him about getting his signature. Did you
Yeah,
get his
so-
signature?
So
Oh, here's
not
another one.
not everybody was home. So to say that I got everybody's signature is absurd. So I got the required amount, which was at least 50%. And so no, and you live in the house directly next to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
I
like
live kitty- I
between
live kitty
us and
corner,
Blake,
I didn't
basically.
hear about it till I got the letter in the mail.
Where do you live at?
810 B Avenue.
810 B Avenue.
I live right diagonally across from where the house is.
Okay. Yeah. So there's obviously people that weren't home when I got the signatures, but I had to knock on doors to get it. And so I can answer your questions as far as like what the structure itself is not going to change. I'm sure you've seen it. It's had an addition added onto it in the 90s. And that addition is roughly 900 square feet. It has its own completely separate entrance, and that would be essentially a 2-bedroom unit, apartment, whatever you want. And the downstairs garage, which is what it is, it would be storage, is what it would be. So as far as the footprint of it, I do have a tenant that parks in the front street now. I wouldn't have to have that because I can redesign the parking in a way that doesn't allow they don't need to park in the front yard basically. So they don't have to have the curb cut, anything like that. The front of my house stays exactly the same. The fence between our two properties remains exactly the same. Nothing would change cosmetically for you. It would all be on this side of the property. And obviously I don't, I'm very, I pick and choose who I rent to, so I don't have substandard renters in there. So yeah, I mean, obviously my goal is to raise the property value in a way that if that property transacts, your house is directly next to it and it's roughly the same size, and you would have that as a comparison as far as what, and I strongly believe that it would increase the value because the house is not sold for market value.
I'm not gonna let you try and sell your idea to them. They came here.
Well, this is what a public hearing is for, is it not?
Not for you to interact with them personally.
Okay, then I apologize because no one's ever talked at a public hearing before. So.
I'm glad they are. So, you got anything else? I'll give these people a chance to speak as well.
No, just if they have questions, I can gladly answer them about this specific project, so.
Yeah. So do you guys want to come up and say something official, or?
No, I don't know that I have anything other than what I've said.
Anybody else? Okay. So right before I close it, I'm gonna make a comment, just because I am, so. You know, in the previous session of that, about doing our public comments, we were under the microscope about doing things illegally. I just wonder if that same person will have the same valor if our board of ordinance decides to vote on something illegally, if he'll be protesting that as well. So.
Is this a personal matter or is this a business matter?
No, I just wonder, he's very adamant about doing things legally and illegally, and if we normally go in and vote something illegally, will he be protesting that as well? That's just my thought. That's my public hearing comment. So, anything else? I will close that public hearing. Anything else? All right, moving on. First consideration of ordinance 1083, an ordinance amending the official zoning district map of the city of Sellers. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Bethany. So, doing this is just going to amend the official zoning district. You guys want to talk about that? Because there's a lot of things he has to go to the Board of Variance for you guys can be able to vote on this and prove it, right?
So I just have a couple of comments. I was contacted by two neighbors that are not here tonight who are opposed to this for several of the same reasons. They're on the same block, and in my opinion, it bothers me greatly that their signatures showed up on a page and then they were not talked to in person about the changes. So I know that that was a concern of ours. So for me, it's a big deal when the neighbors don't want this to happen. We have worked on this zoning request for a long time. When I look at planning and zoning's opinion, they're saying they will approve it as if, or if and then. If we approve this and then if the Board of Adjustments goes and makes this change. So this isn't planning and zoning saying, yes, we think this is a great idea. This is planning and zoning kicking the can down the road. And I don't want to be doing that to the Board of Adjustments either, because I think if we send this on to Board of Adjustments, they're going to view it as us kicking the can down the road. I think our lawyer has given us a very good case. And it does matter to me what the neighbors think. So I would be a no on this. I know we've worked on this for a while, but when the neighbors are speaking up about it, I don't think that it's appropriate that we keep kicking the can.
Any other discussion, kids? I got a motion and a second. So, it's party time. Roll call.
Stark,
No.
Fluhop,
No.
Parmenter,
No.
Gates,
No.
Hostinius,
No.
Elwick.
Nope.
So that means cannot ask for another rezoning request for a year, right?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Alrighty.
Not for that particular piece of property.
Alright. Now I need a motion for public hearing. I'm sorry. Now it's time for a public hearing on proposed contract documents and estimated cost for the West First Street improvements. Anybody wish to speak on that?
And plans here, Mr. Mayor.
Everything. Alright. If nobody wishes to speak, I'm going to close the public hearing. Now I need a motion acceptance of bids and awarding the contract for West First Street improvements.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Zach. Okay, now,
This has been a long time coming. One of the joys of working through the DOT system. So this is First Street from K Avenue west to R Avenue. It's about a half mile long. It'll be concrete pavement. We're beefing up the sub base considerably since that is a kind of a swampy area, of course, and we'll be putting in a sub drain underneath the street to help keep that water out. There are really no utilities being done on this street. We televised, the city had the sewer televised. We did review that. There was one spot that was of concern, and it had already been repaired. Water main is outside of the street, so no concerns with that. That is sized appropriately for being in the industrial park, and the storm sewer was in good shape. We will be replacing the tops of the intakes to help with the pavement, but otherwise, that's it. It's pretty much tear out what's there and put it back. As for the bids, we got 9 of them. We were thrilled with that amount of competition,
And you came in third.
which is even better for me. You can see they were quite competitive. There was one outlier at the end, threw a number at it, but otherwise, very competitive bids. We're very pleased with what we've got. One thing to note is that we did have an alternate for some additional sidewalk work on the west end along the trailer park, and that is funded through the DOT as well. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to afford to include that extra work, but the total bid includes that alternate, so we're comfortably underneath that even with the alternate work included.
How many working days, Dave?
I believe it was 60, I think is what it was.
Oh, I know it's 45.
I think it was 45.
So, how quick were they to want to come in?
Well, we're not allowed to talk to the contractor until this is awarded, so.
Correct. Anybody got any questions for Nate on that? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Gates,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Husenius, Elwick,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
That it? All right, lovely. Sure you're lucky.
So we will keep things progressing through the DOT system and contracts back in the future.
I'm sure John and Bob will be good. I'm sure they will too.
Thank you.
All right, now I need a motion approval of resolution proposing disposal of an interest in real property by sale and notice of public hearing, 5/12/16.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Zach.
Public hearing will be next council meeting on Thursday, June 22nd. I want to emphasize Thursday, not Tuesday.
Yes, thank you. Anything else I gotta do with that?
Nope.
Set the date as of the next council, sorry. June 22nd, 7 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right. Now I need motion approval of proposal for lift station improvements in Bud's Addition from Fairground.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Riley.
This is a design and construction administration proposal for replacement of the lift station out by the golf course. This is the one where the pumps got flooded out and it's kind of an emergency situation. Based on discussion, the intent would be to do a full replacement. So it would actually be an entirely new structure. Based on what we've reviewed at this point, it would appear that placing immediately north of the existing lift station makes the most sense, but that will require either easements or property acquisition from the neighbors. The site that it's on is basically sized specifically for that lift station. There's not room to really do anything more on that. So included in that scope is to either acquire property or easements to do that work. It could be a combination thereof too. You may actually acquire the properties by deed and then have additional temporary easement outside of that, or it could all be done by easement. Or the city attorney to do that. And then of course goes to construction, we'll do the observation and certify it to the DNR and all that as well. This also includes running a new force main from the lift station to the west up to 9th Avenue, excuse me. If you recall the description, it would not fit a golf ball through that existing pipe, so it does include that. Based on what we've seen so far, we expect that would be a directional drill or a horizontal bore to get that new force main in. That way we do not tear up the street. So that would be the route we would look to go. We will explore other options to make sure that's the best option.
On rock,
That's good to know. We were not aware of that.
Used to be a quarry there years before with subdivisions.
So that
We
may
did
change
that.
the plan.
We dug that.
Oh, it's doable. There's a couple
It's
people that
doable.
control the rock.
But we want to know where the rock is.
When they did the new main down that street and all those houses tied on to it down to the lift station. That was, yeah.
Thank
Now,
you.
on the west side of the street, it's a lot of sand.
Yes, it is.
In that street, that's all rock.
Oh, I know. It may not hurt to spend a few dollars and get a team up there to drill it and see what's there.
I've done that rock before. Yes.
Yes,
we're gonna
yes,
hit the
we
rock.
have.
We either want to be in the rock or out of the rock, but we don't want to be going in and out of the rock.
That's correct.
But yes, you can drill through rock. We've done it before.
I think there's only like 2 people in Iowa can do it.
Same as who else?
We're both from eastern Iowa, so it's a good thing. Alrighty. Anybody got any other questions on that? So it'd be approving 51,000? Alright, 51,000? What's that? Up to 51, yeah.
The design is a lump sum, the easement and the construction administration was time and materials with that as an estimate. So if we look like we're gonna exceed that, we'll come back to you and make sure you understand why and it's justified.
Okay.
The easement stuff can get tricky, it depends on the neighbors, it sounds like they're on board, but we haven't talked to them ourselves, so we don't know.
Well, alright, can I get a roll call, please?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Senius,
Yes.
Gates, Elwick,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Hoo-ha.
Yes.
Okay, thanks Nate. All right, it's time for a hearing for nuisance violation of 700 block of East 2nd Street. Anybody here to speak on that?
Well, I don't believe Mr. Gill's here.
He is?
No.
No.
Continue on with it, we can. My recommendation would, I should let Doug speak, but would be to council mayor find that the property is in violation and order or direct Blake probably on Monday to contact the property to get the property mowed and also the junk removed off the property as well. Just a little background here. Blake served, or Blake had, Mr. Gills served on May 22nd for tall grass, and that property is divided into 3 different parcels. He cited the one parcel, forgetting that the property's got 3 parcels to it. So that was served on the one parcel. With reference to 24029500. And on May 23rd, he cited that property for a junk as well. And in that notice of violation, he properly identified all 3 parcels on that. I did mention to Blake that he should probably go ahead and serve Mr. Gill for the other 2 parcels on that same plot of property, which he did on May 31st. I do believe that Jim's girlfriend had turned in. We've been on the 6th, one a hearing.
On the 7th.
On the 7th. Yeah, correct. She brought in a letter requesting a hearing on the 7th, and Jim, I believe, brought in a request for a hearing back on the 25th. And Jim nor his girlfriend is here.
How do you tell them when the hearing is? How do you?
There's a personal service by, or given this letter, I think it's in your packet.
Yes. Yep.
Delivered to his place of residence at his mother's place.
After Ashley delivered the second request for a hearing yesterday, she sent an email as well, and I responded to her and acknowledged we had received it. I said your prior public hearing request is already on the council agenda for, give her this date, this time,
Yep.
location, and I said, and the property owner would be expected to attend.
Yep.
And she never responded after that.
There is a timeline, I'd like to do a timeline on the property itself. You should have a copy of that if you have any questions on that timeline.
So my question is, maybe this is for Doug, on the violation of the clerk of district court ruling.
Yep. You got a couple, different routes of action. Under just the simple notice violation under chapter 158, which is what we've got here. And there is an appeal, so under 158.07, the council can hear the appeal and then create findings. Your findings can be that the allegations set out in the notice violations are true and accurate and are upheld. And then that would empower Blake to move forward with abatement, basically, as the chief mentioned. Either city staff or a line of people that didn't go in and get the junk out, mow the grass, send the bill, if it doesn't get paid, then you lien the property. Secondary from that, because we've been in court with this person before and have a court order that has indicated he is enjoined and restrained from future violations of code provisions, which includes the junk part of things, maybe more than the grass. We could go back to court and ask the court to hold him in contempt of court for violating similar provisions again. That doesn't fix the problem of getting rid of the junk and getting rid of the lawn mowed. If you want to get that taken care of, the way to do that is to empower Blake to go get that done. You can do that, and you can take him back to court. In a contempt situation, you're requesting the court to find him in contempt, could assess additional penalties, could order him to spend time in jail for being in contempt, which is not likely, nothing we would normally request, at least at the first potential go-round. The other risk of that, if it got to the point where this happens over and over and over, and the council said to me, we need to go back to court and hold him in contempt. If he filled out an affidavit that he couldn't afford legal counsel, I'm not sure what his situation is, but if he did that, the city would have to pay for legal counsel to represent him. So that usually isn't something the city wants to do either. So taking into account that it's really about this particular problem, the answer probably, if you find that based on the chief's explanation and what Blake provided in the packet, that the allegation should be upheld, then the next logical step would be to go abate and assess the property.
But again, I would recommend that we hire it out rather than doing our local forces. So,
That's what he's been doing that.
yeah. So, nobody here to speak on defendant's behalf, so I guess it's council decision on how they want to proceed. By a roll call vote, do we find him to be in violation of said, what are these, infractions?
Can we take action?
He's not on Zoom by chance, is he?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, the code's clear. Upon receipt of a timely filed appeal, the council shall set a time and place for them to hear such appeal and publish notice thereof. So, published notice, it was in the agenda that got published. He was given notice a couple different ways, it sounds like. Hearing is open to the public and shall be recorded either electronically or manually. All parties afforded an opportunity to respond and present evidence and argument. If the appellant fails to appear at the hearing, and really there's only one potential appellant, that's Mr. Gill. He's the only party. If he fails to appear, the council may proceed with the hearing and make a decision in the absence of the appellant. And your findings to be based upon the kind of evidence on which reasonably prudent persons are accustomed to rely for the conduct of their serious affairs, even if such evidence would be inadmissible in a court of law. So, for example, Blake's statements here on paper are technically hearsay because he's not here for you to question him. Potentially inadmissible in court, but perfectly available for you folks to consider.
So again, I will ask for a roll call vote on it. Yes, would be a violation, we accept the infractions.
Say there'd be a motion to find the violations exist as alleged in the notice of violations and to direct staff to proceed with abatement. That's an option.
That motion is, then we find them guilty of the infractions and to proceed with abatement of said infractions. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay. Do I got a second on what she meant?
Second.
So motion by Bethany, second by Tammy, and the motion is, like I said, guilty of infractions, move the city to abate. Roll call.
Stark,
Yes.
Elwick,
Yes.
Gates. Yep. Parmenter,
Yes.
Messinius,
You betcha.
Fluhop.
Yes.
All right, now it's time for motion for approval of resolution to approve professional design service perform project scoping study for the tributary to Mud Creek by Veenstra and Kent.
Motion.
Second. Introduce yourself.
Who's that guy on the end?
Got here.
Motion by Andrew, second by Riley. Sneak that in, how do you?
We James.
James,
It's your
I'll give it
call.
to Riley, just weird.
Forgive
I got
him.
it. Mr. Foley.
Mr. Leo Foley.
Leo
Introduce
Leo
yourself.
Foley with Vinton and Kim. I'm here to present qualification package for the brick study to tributary to Mud Creek. I think what we put in the study was basically we'd be getting the FEMA hydraulic model. It was done in the 70s. It's probably a HEC 2 type model, the Corps of Engineer type model. We'll take that and we'll turn that into a RAS model, 2D model, and we have to show FEMA that we can duplicate their old study, which we've done many, many times. Then we go through and with some public input from the staff, we figure out how do we look at the tributary to Mud Creek to reduce flooding, reduce velocities, try to basically more or less make the stream so it's not being as big of a problem flooding-wise to the city. There's a bunch of different ways to do that. We'll have a bunch of alternatives. We were looking at bridges. If you just quickly look at the hydraulic profile, you'll see that the bridges backwater up significantly. So that's one problem. Also, there's lots of places where you're having bank stabilization issues. There's lots of green infrastructure type projects that can be done to help in that arena. The brick study we will do a benefit cost ratio on those type of projects. That is one source of funding. To be straight with you, I don't think there's been any big brick projects in the state of Iowa for construction yet, but I think they're coming. There's no question.
We want to use this kind of as a pilot
Right.
program.
And that there's a lot of other studies and other grants, and we've been very successful with a lot of them, more or less funding the improvements that might come of this. And if you can get a good benefit cost ratio, even if one doesn't, the other does. So we've had a lot of success with it lately, and we think that this is a really good study, and we can produce a great plan for it.
And the grant will cover 100% of this cost.
In our qualification packet, we kind of showed that we have done this for a number of different communities. Just found out recently too, we're doing some flood mitigation for Davenport, and that one had a railroad right by it, and there's a lot of money right now in the federal railroad, and we just got a very large grant from them. With a similar type of study, we were trying to get flood mitigation money from Iowa, and we ended up getting railroad money along with FRA. That's the kind of thing you hope for, is that you can find ways to fund it. And it is funny, some of the green infrastructure doesn't always work as great in a benefit cost ratio, but there is other pots of money that seem to want that kind of study and want those type of things. So we try to mix and match. Any questions?
Long time. Okay.
Wow.
Anybody got any other questions? Roll call, please.
Stark.
Yep.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Gates.
Yep.
Elwick.
Yes.
Senius.
Yep.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you.
Right on. Thanks, Leo.
Get that and read it out. Well, I just got it today, so.
Okay. See you later.
Now I need a motion approval resolution to adopt and update the employee handbook.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Riley. Who wants to go over this? Is this your baby? Your baby?
Yes, so we came back with some of our changes after a work session. So we've added a maternity and paternity and adoption leave section, which we did not have prior. We've clarified overtime and what that looks like on holidays. And we provided for a 10-year pay option based on the request to remove that dreaded term longevity. So those are the highlights. The 10-year pay was the last thing we had left to work out. So we already went through all of this the last meeting. We presented this to you. So this is the final recommendations from the handbook committee. Any questions?
So your 10-year pay will be put back into every contract we have now with police and everybody else.
Well, this was for our city, so I understand that could be a consequence of that, but we were dealing specifically with the city handbook for these particular folks. So I've never been part of your police bargaining. So that'll be on whoever's bargaining that with them.
So understanding the longevity, where's your pay scales then moving on?
Five years, 2%, 10 years, 3.5, 15, 5%, and 26%. And the way we looked at it was that providing this 10-year pay allows for that pay gap that keeps our people who've been here and have seniority happy, so they're not sitting at the same rate. It's a monetary incentive for institutional knowledge, and it costs more to replace employees than to keep them overall. So, yep, we feel good about it.
So Scott, our discussion on doing pay gaps for other lead employees is now over?
What's that?
If this is gonna replace that, right?
The lead.
You know, like before we talked about, we talked about we might do wage differentials for people at different levels.
Right.
So where that conversation's gonna be over now, right?
Right.
Okay,
That's kind of taking the place of that.
it's all good. Roll call, please.
Gates.
Yep.
Elwick.
Yes.
Senius. Parmenter.
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Lovely.
Good job, guys.
Yep. Now I need a motion to approve resolution to approve disbursement of hotel motel tax proceeds to Vinton Unlimited.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Tammy, second by Riley. Any questions on that? All right, roll call please.
Elwick.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Senius. Gates.
Yep.
All right, now I need a motion to approve a resolution setting salaries and compensation for employees for fiscal year 2023.
Should be to 2024.
That should be to 2024.
A motion.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Riley. So
all these are reflective of the 5% raise, I assume.
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Been a good year for city employees. So, all right. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Gates. Yep. Parmenter.
Yes.
Senius. Stark.
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Elwick.
Yes.
All right, now I need a motion of approval of quote from Metal Supermarket for clarifier ring for the skimmer arm at wastewater treatment plant.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Ron. Yep, Craig's here. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Stark.
Yep.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Senius.
Yep.
Gates.
Yes.
Elwick.
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
All right, now I need motion approval of vending machine waiver for McBride Mobile Taps.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Riley. Any questions on that? All right. Roll call.
Gates.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Senius.
Yep.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Elwick.
Yes.
All right, now I need a motion for approval of quote from Life Fitness for rec center equipment.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Riley, second by Ron. Any questions on that? Good, roll call please.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Elwick.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Senius.
Yep.
All right, now I need a motion for appointment of Brett Casper to the VMCU board for a term ending 12/31/23.
Second.
That was first. Motion by Bethany, second by Tammy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good choice.
Now I need a request for planning and zoning to review and make recommendation for petition to vacate alley and street.
I think one of the neighbors would like a little more time to review this. Wonder if it'd be possible to maybe table this to next meeting?
All right, so I got a request to table. Can I get a second?
Hey, bud. I'm here on behalf of that if you have any questions about it, but I was told it'd be a good idea to be here.
It was Andrew that more had some questions on it.
Dang neighbors.
Yeah.
I think he wants to talk to you a little bit more before we go ahead and do it.
we better talk a little more.
So
Okay.
that's why he wants to table it. So,
Okay.
all right. Anything else? Any second on the table? All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Now I need to set a date for the first council meeting in July. When people are gonna be gone. Did we decide on a date?
Wednesday, July 12th. Is that feasible for council? Chris and I are both gone the 13th.
Well, I will be gone that Wednesday too, because.
Oh, I thought you were around the 12th.
No, I won't be, but you can still have the meeting without me. It's just, that's when the summer conference is going on.
I would be
Wednesday,
there
Friday.
the 12th if you want.
I'm okay with the 12th.
I'm okay with the 12. So yeah, that's fine.
We're gonna have lives.
All right. All those in favor of moving that first meeting in July to the 12th rather than 13th?
Aye.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Enthusiastic.
All right, now I need to set a date for a public hearing for state revolving fund loan application for improvements to the city's wastewater system.
That would be on. Did we decide the second week, July 20th?
July 27th at 7 p.m. here.
Yep, 27th.
All right. Date is so set. All those in favor?
Aye.
Lovely. Reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just only have one thing to report. Scott and I on Monday actually went and had a meeting with the county engineer and also with
DeMar Lindsay Association and worked out a plan on the parking lot. The county will be putting in the parking lot. All we have to simply do is pay, well, they will be putting in the culvert. We will pay for the culvert. The association, along with Mr. Sila, will work out the actual parking area. It's supposed to happen in less than a month, correct, Scott?
Yeah. Yep. Randy thought they could have the culvert down on one.
They're gonna do it all?
Yep.
They're gonna tear out the furthest east one.
And have
just
just
have one in, one out, so they're
Make
not
it
driving
30
in
foot.
Wayne's field. I thought that'd be better. They could use the fill on the other one. So we would've had to buy the culverts whenever regardless, but then they cut us a deal on
Right.
their back slope.
And by getting rid of the furthest east driveway, it would also hopefully keep down people from maybe driving in Mr. Sila's field, you know, trying to get a quick exit out of town, that sort of thing, by just having the one driveway in.
Yep.
Dusty was out there and he was good with it.
Yep, or Lindsay. Yep, Dusty was there and so was Wayland as well, Mr. Wayland.
Good enough.
So that's all I had.
Chief?
I guess I'll speak on behalf of the Blake's position. He's been gone, so I had to kind of fill his shoes a little bit. So get back in the code enforcement role again a little bit. Had as far as building permits, I think I had like 3. I had to kind of get Scott to come out with me. I knew I had the right answer for setbacks at Anderson Creek, but I just wanted to verify, so I took Scott out there and got the setbacks for those individuals out there. So, but everything's going smooth. Hope Blake's having a good time. If you're watching, have fun, Blake. As far as the law enforcement side, I'm back from my time off. Just getting the guys ready for this weekend. Hopefully rain stays away and we have a good time.
Any questions for Chief? Ray?
Busy with locates and a few contractors. They're got all the sewer in on D Avenue. Everybody's hooked up. We got Mrs. Peterson's house separated off of the neighbors, so we got that ran today. I think they're digging out the sub base for the rock, so in case you hadn't been up there looking, I guess. Been having some issues with the with their chlorine at the plant, so we're trying to deal with that and get that all straightened out. So fixing pumps at the plant, sewer plant, and mowing grass and doing all that kind of good stuff. So finding things to do every day. So.
All right, Matt?
Busy couple weeks. We started summer camp this week, group swim lessons, got the pool opened up last weekend, which is good. Playground build is still going on over at Riverside. We are hoping to have that done by the end of the weekend, so we'll see. And then getting ready for Party in the Park next week, so we've got all of our summer folks in the parks finally, so getting everything trimmed up and cleaned up and all that sort of stuff, so busy.
Scott?
I wish Mark would have stayed, but the guys wanted to meet with you guys and with the wages and stuff and just say thanks, but when they got rid of the union, they thought that they were still going to meet with you no matter what was going to go on. So they're hoping to do that next year at some point, just get together, touch base, and I didn't figure that'd be a problem, but I think Bud and Tammy run with that.
if you're okay with that.
Well, you are.
Well, good, bad, and different. They just like.
Well, I might not be here either.
They just like to talk with you and know what's going on. Stay in the loop. As far as work, gonna fire up the oiler tomorrow, so hopefully we can get 6 blocks seal coated.
Are we looking to seal coat out past the new development again? Get the rest of that done before people get choked out?
Yeah, we're gonna, I have on the list to go to the, what is that? Victory Lane entrance now.
That'd be good. And I would like, maybe since you got Myron all fired up to do stuff, we'll see about rocking his dirt road out there and see if we can get that seal coated too, and see if we can keep people from wanting to go mudding out there at some point. I know, just money. Nate'll find it.
We'll see what we can do.
But yeah, because Nate has to look at that and see if he can help redesign that down there, because that's where it's ponding all that water. I think at one time we talked about you going out there and looking at that. So maybe you ought to get with Matt and go out there and hook it up and see if we can get that figured out.
I mean, if we would have had our first engineering firm engineer it correctly, we would have been okay, but no. Not Nate, not Nate.
And it wasn't
Not
BK.
Nate.
Anything else, Scotty?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Doug, you got anything?
Candy in my mouth. I'm sorry about that. One little tidbit, just for what it's worth category. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but by law, the council never, when she has council minutes, signs them, puts them in the book, you never have to see them again. It's not, you don't have to approve them by law.
Really?
I'm not saying it's a bad practice.
I think it's part of our ordinance to review the meeting minutes, isn't it, to approve them?
I think so.
I think it's that because we
I have to look at your code, but by state law, you're
we
required
had to
to.
list them all out, what we're gonna do, right?
The only reason I throw that out there, was brought up, in the P and Z minutes. There has to be minutes of meetings, but they don't have to be approved ever either.
Yep, there are.
So, again, not a bad practice, because sometimes you look at minutes, you're like, wait a minute, that's not right. I don't think I said that. With your prior clerk, probably, more than your clerk.
Okay.
Aw.
Wow. You're up, dear.
I am gone next week. Tammy's gonna clerk the electric meeting for me, but I fully have full confidence in Tammy and Becky to be able to handle the office. Things are going really well with them. There is a Elation Users Conference coming up in October, our billing software. It's a 2-day out in Sioux Falls, I believe. Happens to be the same time. Chris is gonna be gone for education, so I'm gonna stay back. I'm gonna send Tammy. The conference is free to attend. It's just 2 nights in a hotel is our cost and mileage for her, so she's very excited about going.
So it won't be much out of their pocket then.
Right, I'll tell her that. Careful, she does payroll, she can take it.
Take it.
So she's already looking forward to that in the fall, so that's good. Just a lot
Good.
going on.
Before I get too far, public safety, I need to have you guys get a meeting set up to go look at that parking.
Sorry, that job
Is that you, Andrew? Or is that you, Ron? Or is that
Me and
Bethany. What's the rental called? We didn't do that last time.
We didn't set a rental fund
No.
meeting. We talked about the date.
Yeah, we can get one of those going.
We didn't talk about a date.
We talked about setting it.
talked about setting a date, but we haven't done it yet.
We had a meeting, talk about having a big meeting.
Well, we were trying to figure out when Ron would be back in town.
No. Is it safety or works?
Safety.
It's public safety.
So who was that? Can I email you after I talk to Ron?
You'll get with them and set that time? Anytime?
How about right before the day?
When you gonna do it?
I don't have a wife either, Ron.
Does that need to be?
Pretty sad statement for both of us.
I have a life.
a show off, gee.
Yeah, really.
That need to be a field trip meeting?
Usually, any day of the week works for me after 4:30.
Do it, next Tuesday night.
I can do Tuesday night before 6:30.
Well, that's fine. He said after 4:30, and
Yeah.
I can do that.
So 4:31?
Let's go 4:30 to
Yeah.
whenever.
I would get a hold of Charlie, it's gonna be a fire code, Scott too. See if they can meet you up there.
Okay.
I won't be there. Chris will not be there.
No,
Are you having it here or are you having it on site?
they're having it on
On
site
site.
at 4:30
Okay, so-
because planning and zoning's meeting at 4:30 and VMEU is meeting at 5 on Tuesday. Get everything all set up for it, Ken.
Send Tammy up there, what time she get off?
Well, she's doing my VME meeting at 5.
Yeah, I just got it set up, but I got planning and zoning at 4:30.
So Tuesday's
We
no
need
good.
somebody to take minutes is what she's getting at.
Yes.
You're not even bowling.
What time?
At 4:30.
I,
If it's at
if it's
5:30,
at 4:45, I can send Becky.
if it's at 5:30, I can be there.
She has
5:30.
5:30 will work.
5:30.
Will 5:30 work? It shouldn't take too terribly long.
We'll make sure to be done by 6:30.
There you go.
Okay, 5:30 Tuesday, I'll be there.
And do you wanna set your,
Monday.
say tomorrow? Okay, we got that date set. Good enough.
Get vacation.
Glad we got rid of some bonds.
Yes.
Glad we got street projects going on. We talked about Mr. Wilden's property, Dave. He's gonna get with you on that, Chris.
Okay.
Yes, we
You
can.
talk, because I called him this morning about it, so.
Yep, we talked.
Oh, you did after we talked?
No,
No,
we talked.
I
will
called,
regroup, I will let him know what we discussed and our plan of attack and we'll go from there.
I called him this morning.
That works. People are trying to get rid of dirt now from what the basement's out, the new development. So if you know anybody who needs some fill dirt, other than Craig, that guy does. So please get with Scott or Craig, whoever drives out by that thing, and let people know if you need it.
We can always use it.
We,
Did you take all that today, Craig? Or what you end up doing with it?
We need to find a spot. It is not gonna work out at the dome. They're stringing it,
Yeah, they're just dumping and leaving it.
and we can't have a guy out there with the loader, we got seal coat, so, and we need the loader. So if Craig wants to sit out there with the backhoe and chase them
Well,
around.
they should be able to pile it up rather than just stringing it out, shouldn't they? What's the scoop?
It was sticking in the box, they said, so.
Yeah. So that isn't gonna work, so now they're putting it up top, well, we're gonna run out of room with 40 loads.
What are we doing with the dirt on first?
haven't been able to meet with them yet, talk about it.
Hopefully we didn't say they used it on city dump grounds again. Probably just says get removal on it, right?
I think it's just the contractors. Property of the contractor and dispose of properly, must be removed from the project site and disposed, if disposed in floodplain area, waste shall not be more than 12 inches deep. That's a state thing. It is the property of the contractor. We did not tell him he could or could not dump it at the dump.
They'd have to get our permission to do so.
Correct.
So I think what Scott and Craig are both getting at is any future projects, make sure they can't dump out there.
Yeah. The only reason these guys are is because it sounded like you guys maybe wanted it for the.
Yeah, for the dike. But if it's wet, gucky, then may not work out.
Yeah, and I don't know what's required for that.
But, it's been there a while. Overall, hey, maybe.
So you got that note, right? Perfect. Good and welfare. It's party town, Saturday,
So,
And next week.
come one, come all. That's the beginning of our celebration for Matt's party in the park.
June is hopping month.
I'm gonna
Hairball coming up Saturday.
I don't get to go.
Why not?
So-
In Shellsburg.
That's too bad.
So hey, so for Party in the Park, our theme this year was like where everybody knows your name, like Cheers theme. I'm gonna act like I knew that this last week was the 30th anniversary of Cheers' last episode. I'm gonna act like I knew that was. I had zero clue.
You want me to be Norm?
I know that you've been waiting to be Norm your entire life. So
I have been Norm my entire
Oh,
life.
All right. Anybody else got any good welfare?
Do the episode, just to jump in, the episode where Cliff wore the shot collar. Anytime you say something wrong, you get shocked. Could be Carla.
I had a roommate.
Let's talk about this after. Let's
Every
talk
time I
about this
called him, I
after.
smacked him in the face, and it took 2 weeks to quit chewing his face.
It's not funny.
Faith, what you got?
I said, let's talk about this after.
Okay. What do I need to announce?
Oh, I don't know. But look what I used tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Need motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Riley. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Faith gave it to me.
Oh, I thought you stole